Hey guys, what's up? All right, cool. So, I wanted to get on here today, and I wanted to, I gotta stop saying Actually, first off, before we get going, check this out. I am in Whole Foods, pretty much my favorite place to eat. Love this place. I spend a shit ton of money here, and I'm sitting in a gondola. Pretty cool. So check this out. Look, I can open the doors. Isn't that sick, dude? It doesn't close all the way, but anyways, this place is always this gondola is always snagged up, so I'm stoked to get in here and be able to do my training with you guys in here. And so what I wanted to talk about today is talk a little bit about sort of lifestyle habits, okay? And really sort of like the misconceptions that really could be sabotaging your progress in fat loss, and you're really just doing it to yourself. So I have two things. I don't have my whiteboard today, but I have two things here that I really want to talk about that are sort of critical in understanding, because what we tend to do to ourselves when we're not being as effective as we think we should be is we oftentimes blame it on ourselves, as if we are just lazy, or that we just aren't good enough, or that we just don't have what it takes, when really both of us know that you certainly do have what it takes, right? Because those that really follow me and listen to my videos, we tend to be sort of the driven, type A, go-getter, type of people. And so really the two questions you need to ask yourself is really like, are you lazy or are you exhausted? Because what psychology tells us, and the study of psychology and the psychology of change, is that oftentimes it's not laziness at all, but it's exhaustion, okay? And so what do I mean by that? Essentially what I mean is that there's an old saying that, if you want something done, you got to give it to a busy person. And what we now know in psychology research is that that is not really true, okay? That's not true. The busier somebody is, the harder it gets for them to do anything else well, like to do it do it effectively, productively. And that's because we as humans we're not really good multitaskers, even though we try to think we are and we believe that we can be, but we really aren't. So we do better if we are focused on one thing, right? And so if there's more things piled up, like if the laundry's piled up, if the dishes are piled up, if you have a deadline at work, if you just have like all these things on your to-do list, and you have to pick up your kids and do all these things. If you have all these things you have to do, it may not be that you're lazy at all. Chances are you're not. It may just be that you are exhausted, okay? And what we now understand is that just like your muscles get fatigued when they're overworked, and your brain capacity and your ability to exhibit, this self-control gets exhausted, all right? And so it's as if we have like this battery that is fully charged up in the morning, right? So long as you get your good night of sleep and stuff, and the more decisions that you have to make starting from the morning and throughout the day, the more tasks you have to do, your battery starts to get drained. So we've got this big battery that's all charged up, and then the more things that we put on it, it starts to drain the battery. And what this battery represents is really our willpower battery. And so isn't that interesting, right? Because in other words, if you have a bunch going on during the day and you're stressed out and you're multitasking and you're doing a ton of things all at once, or just like having to sort of self-edit yourself, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Your mental capacity and your ability to say no to chips and cookies, or like just like even like simple stuff, like things that taste good, like just sandwiches that are loaded with mayo, just things that may even sound healthy, or like a handful of nuts, like we're less likely to refrain ourselves from going for that, okay? And for other people it may be motivation to go to the gym, or a lot of times actually, like with my clients, I'm really big on walking, and like walking isn't really that much effort, and some of my when we run into issues of like just trying to go for a walk, that they don't even have the motivation to go walk, we got to like look at things, right? Because to me, it's telling me they don't have the mental capacity to even charge themselves up with a walk, okay? Because they're just so exhausted. And so this is something that happens with, both me too, right? Like it happens with my clients all the time. But it also happens with me. It's just that I'm aware of it, right? I've been working on this, and with them, it's they just aren't aware of it. And so it really just takes an outside perspective of somebody's telling you, hey, you're doing a shit ton of stuff. You're making all these decisions all of the time, and that is what's draining your willpower battery, okay? And for the people who have really strong willpower, which tends to be us, you still, even though you are just strong as shit, you can't win a battle against your metabolism. Your metabolism sees all these little decisions and to-dos and stuff like that as tension that starts to build up in your body. And that tension, it's registered as stress. And so, what do you guys hear me say about stress all the time? A body that is stressed is a body that does not burn fat, okay? So it becomes really important that we monitor that. And so that is a critical insight to understand, because then what you can begin to do is really understand that you need to start paying attention to your lifestyle and what it's made up of. And that goes right into the next thing here, which is the question we all need to ask ourselves, and that is, is it me? Is it you? Is there something wrong with you, or is there something wrong with your environment? Okay? And so what, again, like psychological researchers tell us, and the study of psychology of change tells us, is that the more times than not, it's not the person at all, but it's a situation where it's the environment that people put themselves in. And so what you want to begin to do is you want to begin understanding these two critical points, right? Oftentimes what people do when they're trying to make a change, like a body change or a lifestyle change, is they add on all these things, right? Like this is just so classic. Usually when people come in to sign up with me, they want to do it all at once. They want me to give them 10 things to do, and it's like no. Like I understand, I admire your desire to get after it, but if we go that route, it's just going to end up as a disaster. And so instead of adding things, we really want to be subtracting. So all these things exhaust you more if you keep adding. And so what you want to do is you want to ask yourself is, when you set out to change your life or your body in some way, you got to ask, are you simply trying to add extra behaviors and things on top of an already huge pile of stuff that you have to do? So here's one key insight for you to understand. Any change that you make, in order for it to be successful, it needs to be as easy or as easier than the thing that it replaces. Which is why when I work with, my clients, my goal is to make their diet and lifestyle as similar to their current lifestyle, so it's easy to execute, if not easier than what they were originally doing, okay? And that speaks right to this principle. It's not that you're lazy, it's just that you're exhausted. And in order to deal with this exhaustion, you need to begin to make your life more efficient, right? So in other words, it's not you, but oftentimes it's just the way that you have designed your life, your environment. And so what you want to begin to do is, you want to do things differently. You want to begin looking at how you can simplify and make your life more efficient. And the first tip here is you need to really understand one of the most mentally draining aspects of change is self-editing, meaning when you're trying to remember all the things you got to do, like I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, I got to do that, and I got to remember to pick them up and do this and that, and that stuff is the worst thing that drains your battery. And so you want to get really good at managing and prioritizing your time. And this is something I am huge on, right? Like I am huge on routines and making lists. I mean, my lists are ridiculous. I'll show you that in just a second. But this is something that we work on, with my clients is, learning how to prioritize their day so that it literally becomes automatic and it takes the guesswork out of decision making, or at least keeps it to a minimum and keeps you focused on the things that really need to get done first, rather than just the little things that is just kind of piling up and consuming a lot of your battery. Okay, so you really want to find these 3, 4, 5 critical things that need to get done, and then everything else is just extra stuff. You get time around to it, great. Okay, but really focus in on a few things. And that brings me to my next point, which is really you want to be doing one thing at a time. And essentially what that means is, most people, what they'll try to do is they're going to try to multitask. They're going to try to do a ton of things all at once. But I've already told you, we're really not good multitaskers. And so what that means is when you set up your day, when you prioritize your day, you don't want to think about doing things all at the same time, right? So like, maybe while washing your dishes, you're going to try to plan, like, I don't know, plan your workout, or something like that, or working and doing something else. What you want to do is you want to wash the dishes first, and then you want to think about planning your workout. Okay, so that's how things are going to work the best. When you do one thing at a time and you're focused and present on that one thing. So like when you're working out, that should be all you're focused on. That's all I'm focused on. In fact, I don't even like to think about the next round or the next rep. I like to think on like just one rep at a time. Same thing when you're fixing your meals. You're planning your meals. You're focusing on that. And that goes, right to why we're oftentimes really ineffective at work as well, right? Because we are trying to do several things at once. And so if you're sitting there working away on your computer and you keep seeing emails popping up, and you're going to, you're going to get constantly sidetracked. And this is very much like what we do in our lives as well, our lives. And so what you want to do is set aside time to be able to focus, right? Be here right now. And this is why it's so critical to have one day out of the week, like a Sunday, where you kind of set aside time to prep for the week, right? Prep your clothes, prep your food, or whatever you got to do to make your weekdays easier. And the third thing here is shaping your environment. So what I mean by shaping the environment is, kind of what I was just saying before about taking a day on Sunday to do things like plan your week or fix your meals, or, whatever the things that you like to do, get your clothes out. Those are kind of things that I like to do. I like to look at my whole week, write it all down, schedule it out. And just like I was saying before about prioritizing, and so maybe you prioritize first the things that you need to do in the morning, right? So things like working out, because that's a critical point for you, rather than waiting until the afternoon when distractions are likely to pop up. So if you prioritize it in the morning, that's going to be better. But then, you also want to think about the whole thing that we talked about, where any change you make should be as easy, if not easier, than the change that it replaces. So, when it comes to shaping the environment, maybe get yourself a bench and a set of dumbbells and put it down in the basement. So you don't even have to get in the car to go to the gym or anything like that. These are all things that, too often we don't spend time like planning and thinking. And I feel like that's made such a huge, big difference with not only me, but like my clients, like always having a plan. You want to be thinking about, what are my priorities, and doing each thing at a time, having its own specific time period in which to accomplish it. And make sure that, you shape the environment with all these behaviors. So you guys may think like I'm actually crazy, but I actually plan my day out from the start to finish, like every 15 to 30 minutes. And let me just kind of show you an example, okay? Because I've been doing this for years. I think forever, actually. It's just the way I am. But it really helps me, and I'm a little like neurotic about it. I don't know. You're going to think my notebook's pretty crazy, but like, I'm trying to show you, like, here's an example. Like I plan my schedule from morning to night. So I literally say like wake up, train, I have like morning routine written down, night routine, and every 30 minutes I have something planned, even if it's like eat, like I'll plan it out. And I used to be kind of like really neurotic about it, like making sure I was on task, but that wasn't really serving me. So I've learned to really stay present with, wherever I am at, and just know that I am like, wherever I am, this is the place I should be, instead of thinking like, oh man, I'm behind, so, because that's not good either. I don't want to be obsessive and neurotic about where I am in my schedule, okay? And the last thing I wanted to share with you is this fourth idea of be, do, have, which is a thing that you have to be the thing first, right? Which will then allow you to do all the things that you're supposed to do, so that you can have what it is you want, okay? So this is a really, really critical behavior to making change. This be, do, have helps you understand how to like really prioritize and think about all the things that you will need to be, right? The ways you need to behave to get the change you want. Those are the things that are going to have to be key things, like your key priorities for the day. Those are the things that you're going to have to set a time aside to do all by themselves without any interruptions. Those are the things that you're going to have to learn to shape your environment around to incorporate them into your new lifestyle. All right. So the idea here is, what you're essentially doing is you're really just, in the beginning, faking it until you make it to make change. And that's a good way to look at this, because you're essentially just mimicking the things that other people do, that other successful people do along the way, finding which one of those works for you, which ones you can throw out, and which ones you can get rid of, So you're going to just find the ones that work for you, the habits that can keep you on track, and then throw out the ones that don't work for you. And before you know it, you have a recipe for your own success. Okay. So hopefully these little like mindset insights were, helpful for you today. Really quick, I just want to announce tonight is I'm doing a free online training where I'll be talking about my 5 secrets to having a body that finally reflects all your hard work in the gym without the stress, the obsessiveness, and the rigidness that comes with a lot of the traditional diets. So in fact, one of the things I'll be talking about is how my clients and I use rest days as an opportunity to burn fat. And so, that's one of the secrets that I have, but I have 4 other ones that have made a huge impact on achieving a nearly effortless fat loss lifestyle. So if you guys want to learn those, come join us in tonight's training. And all you need to do is click the link in my bio or check out my latest post that will have the link in there. But you better do it like right away, because there's a limited number of spots, and once they're full, they're full. Okay. So, all right, guys, hope you guys like that. Let me know your thoughts on today's lecture, and I'll see you tonight in class if you signed up. All right, bye.